100% goes to the first place or first two places, and I think that's a little bit too heavy.
Yeah, yeah,
So
for sure. Well, how's your pop break these days? Because I know you've been doing a lot of 9 ball breaks up until this point. So how's that 10 ball break working for you?
well, in Puerto Rico, I used like heavy break, like everything I got, but it works good. So it basically depends on the ref in the end, what kind of racks he will give me. But I'm ready for it. I figured it out. Obviously, then the mental part, we will see. It was very very cold in the venue last year. We played there the 9 ball event at the same place in Doha that
Yeah, yeah.
Josh won against Cole. Um, it was freezing, but I'm prepared for everything.
What's this year been like for you, as far as the schedule, Albin? And it's been busier than ever. But how do you feel after going through it and just getting up there in age and just I know you're a fit guy, but it's tough, man.
No, of course, I mean we don't get younger, and obviously traveling 180 to 200 days per year every year. Um, I don't know, can ruin pretty much everything. Sleeping in hotel beds all the time, wrong pillows, wrong mattresses, whatever. So it's tough. I mean, obviously, I try to stay fit and healthy and everything, but sometimes it's just too much jet lags, of course, travel back and forth, different time zones all the time. Um, like, usually, when I travel, I lose around in a week, normally like 2 kilos, which is, I don't even know how many pounds.
Weight on the road, man, because maybe it's just my eating habits because I know diet's so important. But like, man, I'll go on the road and I'll put on like a good 3 pounds on average just because of the way that my diet will change. And you're telling
All
me,
right.
wait,
And I lose approximately like 2 kilos. In the US, maybe not.
I was gonna say,
But no, but I had tournaments. The worst I ever had was the first the CLP where I played the 52 matches.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Wasn't
lost
that during
seven.
COVID, right? So there was like nobody
Yeah,
nobody there, right?
well, it was. I played David in the end. It was the 7 groups. You had to
Right.
qualify, and I qualified in the
At the
sixth
end,
group or
you
something. Yeah,
yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah,
I played
yeah.
52 matches in 8 days or something, and I lost 7 kilos in this week.
That's unreal, man. That's like
Yeah.
the Iron Man. That's a lot on you, not just physically, but like mentally, and then your energy, and then you're
But I
playing pool,
also
and
I looked at pictures afterwards, and I looked terrible. I looked like I was super sick, and
and well, you ended up coming away with the victory, though. So,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes it helps, to get like easier in the zone, when you're like tired or exhausted, because you cannot really focus on anything else except for the table.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, traveling. Look, I mean, Ralph, he does this for how many years now?
it's crazy,
30,
man.
30, 35 years. It's crazy, and but that's a sport we all grew up with. That's a sport we love. I could not imagine for a second to change the job now and maybe sit behind the desk for 8 hours, and follow orders from someone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can
So,
imagine.
but yeah,
Do
but yeah.
you have you ever given it any kind of consideration? Just given the way that you've seen the sport fluctuate as far as prize money and or maybe lack thereof over the years, and then of course, all the other bullshit that you guys got to fade at times.
I didn't. What's the
No,
question?
I was gonna say, like, have you ever considered, like, you know what? I'm just tired of playing pool. I'm just tired of dealing with things or the
Well,
prize money or things like that.
I don't know if it was. I was talking with you, but I think when I was like 17, 18, I almost stopped playing pool because of my technique, because I was like obviously growing in height, and so I had a very poor technique, and I couldn't make long shots anymore. So I was already looking for a job because I thought that's pretty much it. But in the last, I mean, look, everything started when I was like, I mean, my pro career when I was 2014. I was in the final of the World Nine Ball, like pretty much out of nowhere, and then
Was that the one where Niels
Niels,
won?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and then from 2015 onwards, every year until 2023, I won at least one, sometimes three tournaments.
Yeah, I've argued you've probably been the most consistent player, at least in a world championship, over the last 10 to 12 years than anyone. You've been in a ton of finals. You mentioned that one with where Niels ended up winning, but then you beat Shane in the final. No, no, wait, you beat who did you beat in the first world championship? You beat it
Shane,
was Shane. It was Shane. Yeah,
16.
yeah.
Shane played 15 against Copigny, and he played back to back 15, 16, and lost both.
That's pretty brutal. Yeah, I'm sure Shane appreciates that
Yeah,
bringing that up.
yeah.
Uh, do you ever get any consideration, just given the fact that Shane just got inducted to the Hall of Fame? Do you ever think about like making it to the Hall of Fame at some point in your career, Alvin?
Honestly, I never thought about it, but I remember exactly that after winning the U.S. International 2021, Darren came up to me. We had a beer afterwards, and he said, "Now you will be finally inducted to the Hall of Fame," because he
Yeah.
said I would have needed a win in the U.S.
How tough is it to win abroad? Because I said that about Shane for years, where it was like, you know
Mm.
what, Shane's a great player. I know he's a U.S. Open, multiple time U.S. Open champion, but he can't win overseas. And at that point, he hadn't won a world championship. And I know since then he's gotten those monkeys off his back. But how mentally rewarding is it to finally cross that bridge?
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I always had problems with the U.S. jet lag. I don't know. I was struggling a lot, and I needed way more days to recover. Sometimes a week. Sometimes I just played a tournament before to just be there, and spend some
Yeah,
time. Um, it was much easier for me with Asia, like China Open. I won in 2015, but nothing again in Asia, I believe. But yeah, I had to wait a long time to win a tournament in the US. World Cup of Pool was also China, but US was finally the US International in 2021. So yeah, it's tough. I don't know how much time or how many days Shane prepares before he. Some tournaments he always looks tired. I don't
yeah.
know, or maybe
It's
it's
true,
just
man, but then it's like it's the wildest thing because I agree with you where like he can wear it sometimes, but then
yeah,
like years like this year, there was a stretch where like I saw him in Sacramento and then on the and then on the in Washington. Then he went to New Orleans. Then he goes overseas, and then he comes back. And I saw him whenever he played Federer right before the U.S. Open, and the dude still looked fresh. And I had
yeah.
like 5 days at home, and I'm feeling it. You know what I mean? And it's just like he was nonstop, and I can't, for the life of me, I can't wrap my head around it because that's tough action, man.
Yeah, he just loves to play pool, and I don't think there's anyone in the pool world that loves this game as much as he does. And because also the craziest part was for me, like the PLP in Connecticut in
Yeah.
Jason's pool room, he was practicing there. I think throughout the day for like 5 to 6 hours every day. He didn't do
So
anything else.
that would have been the one that he won, right? And
Yeah,
that was this year. Yeah,
yeah,
because so I had seen him. It went from the Rio to we had those US Open events in Vegas that lasted like forever because it was like the eight ball, the one pocket, and all those things, right? And he played the entire time. And then I'll never forget because the day that it was over, the following day in the morning, me and Collins went to kind of go pack everything up. And it's maybe I don't know what time we finished, maybe like 8, 9 o'clock the night before or whatever. And by this point, it was like the day before PLP starts, and it's the very next day, 11 o'clock in the morning, and there's Shane practicing his nine ball break for like 6 hours before he heads over there. And I'm like, you ain't worn out. You don't want to take like half a day off, and that
yeah.
that wasn't Shane. That's just not how he's wired. It's unreal.
Yeah, I don't know. At the PLP, he was practicing banks for like 3 4 hours
So that's ridiculous. Yeah,
on 4 inch or even less. I don't know, but yeah, it's crazy. I feel like when he goes to a tournament, he just has like there's like one goal. He's there for pool and nothing else. You know,
yeah,
it's like fully focused because others, we go out eat, we go to the mall, we go shopping, we go to outlet, whatever. But I feel like he's just there to play pool, and then when it's done, it's done, and then he
yeah.
can, I don't know, do other stuff.
He's wired differently for sure. But like, at this point, he can kind of compartmentalize. I feel like where he knows, hey, listen, that boat and that lake is a couple of weeks away or a couple of days away or whatever it may be, and just kind of keep his eye on that. But yeah, man, the schedule this year has been unreal. Nothing but respect for you guys for all the traveling that you guys do and all that. This time of year, Albin, we're used to seeing you out at the Mosconi Cup, and I want to get your thoughts on how on the. Let's start with the event overall and how you're feeling being in Austria right now versus seeing all your guys out there competing.
Uh, well, I got to tell you, I mean, I'm a straightforward guy. When I saw the guys walking down the stairs before the first match, I had goosebumps. I mean, obviously, I can feel what they feel in this moment,
Yeah,
and it's just electrifying. And but yeah, it it is what it is. I'm sitting at home. I also enjoy watching, even though I think it could have been a little bit better if you talk about performance and everything. But overall, I mean, great cup. I think 2,500 people or something. I think great
yeah.
atmosphere. I think the least Europeans I've ever seen at the Moscone Cup in America. I think I counted maybe 20. So it's
They got a small section. It's like I
uh,
mean the percentages are easily like maybe 90 to 10. I mean it's unreal the amount of American fans that showed up relative
yeah.
to the Europeans.
So yeah, you see here and there some Europeans sitting between the Americans, but I think they're afraid to cheer loudly.
Yo,
But
I've only been to one album, but these fans this year, they're coming with it, man. I mean, they're brutal
yeah,
this year in the crowd. It's wild out there.
Moscone in the US was always more louder, crazier, whatever, because the European fans, I don't know, it was they had no one to cheer against, no
Yeah,
other fan section or whatever, because there were like 5 or 10 Americans. But yeah, it was always rougher in the US. But I enjoyed it so far. It was fun to watch, see some players struggle a lot. Um, where I actually thought this might happen. Some players who played good in the beginning and then kind of dropped. And yeah, it's this covered pretty much everything. I think only one player who really stands out with his performance. I think we both know who it is. But yeah, I think just the Europeans played smarter till now. They
you're
keep it
talking
simple.
from a strategy standpoint, of like, or the actual play and choices on the table.
Choices on table with safeties, maybe also the break. I think also Europeans have been a little bit more fortunate on the break, but I think
Yeah,
also on the other hand they break a little bit better.
yeah,
Um, but also shot selection, safety selection. Look, rule one. I remember 2015. I come to the Moscone Cup. Rule one was what I think Darren O'Neill's told me was keep it simple. It doesn't
yeah.
matter how good you feel. You play a race to five with 2,000 people screaming, shouting your name, or just try to get in your head. Just keep it simple. If you're 3 4 games up, of course you could try something if you also feel good.
Right,
But some players sometimes like they try to force to get the momentum
right.
on their side. But that's the race is way too short for this.
Does the adrenaline play a factor at all, Albin? When because you're feeling it, you're sweating, and it's just like you feel like you kind of want to make a move or have to make a move.
uh, 2022, I played. I remember I played Earl. Um,
How
I
was
was
that?
practicing. I was practicing. Felt good, I was ready, pumped up, and then I walked down the stairs. Obviously, 2,000 people screaming at me, and I don't know whatever. And then I was standing in the arena and waiting for Earl to come down, and obviously it was crazy, in there.
Yeah,
And I swear, he was also looking at me, like kind of staring at me, and the people shouting and whatever. I swear, I felt like I got hit by a lightning bolt.
really.
For the first 10 minutes, I didn't know how to play pool.
You
I
went
swear.
down in that match, if I remember right, like
Yeah,
2-0 or 3-0.
2-0, and then he made a big, big mistake. He played a shot into the corner instead of dragging into the side and missed it, and then he lost 5-2.
Yeah.
I
Went on
remember
full
I
tilt.
made
Yeah.
so stupid position mistakes because the pattern I couldn't find patterns, no nothing. And but yeah, it happens. It happened to many players that all of a sudden it just I don't know, just fucks you mentally up. It's crazy sometimes.
Do you see a guy like Jason or even a guy like Josh where they can kind of thrive in that crowd environment? How do you feel about it personally, Albin? Just the chaos of it and the circus that's the Mosconi Cup.
Um, Honestly, because the people say Jason was made for this, blah blah blah. I think Jason really started to turn this like screaming and whatever and cheering before he makes the final shots. I think it started last year where he really could turn this into like a strength,
Yeah,
because the years before you saw him struggling a lot. Even he was like screaming like crazy. I remember, but it was like 19 or something or 20, I don't know. Um, but obviously this year he knew after Josh dropping out, he had to step up, and bring his A game. Um, because obviously after playing Asia, he wasn't sure what he has to expect, from
yeah,
the team. Because obviously Reyes Cup was a little bit easier, I would say, to play than Moscone Cup.
for sure.
But yeah, he played amazing so far. I think he missed one kind of easy shot, um,
It was a
which
big eight. It
if,
was a big eight ball.
yeah, 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 it was. But it was not only his fault that they lost this match. But yeah, Josh and Jason, they have this, I don't know, gift that they can turn this into a strength, And look what happened to Skyler. He was
Yeah,
cheering and everything before the nine, and then he rattled it.
he should have left it up. I thought that ball was staying up in the
Yeah,
hole.
yeah. He said afterwards, if that would have stayed up, he would have not come the next day to play. Because that's something. Why would you cheer before? I mean, if it's in front of the pocket, I maybe get it. But if it's like, I don't know, a half foot or whatever from the pocket, um, just why?
Yeah.
It's 4 inch or even less sometimes. Just why? It
What's
doesn't look.
going through up here when you got a big nine ball to make and it's not just the weight of the moment, it's your teammates, it's the crowd, it's everything. What are you telling yourself to keep yourself calm upstairs?
You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your stroke. You got to let loose, and not like hold back on the stroke. I mean, that's pretty much like basic stuff, that you
Yeah.
learn. So, but of course, it's tough when 2,000 people scream at you, whatever. Maybe it's for the match or whatever. So there are many things that come together at one point, and but then you have to believe in the fundamentals and basics of your game.
Let's talk strategy for a minute, Albin. Let's start with player captains. You mentioned Sky and Jay. What are your thoughts having player captains on there for this year?
I think they had it already many, many years ago, I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah, I don't know why, but to give the player even more pressure or more things to do.
Yeah.
But it's not up to me to make this decision. I mean, obviously, Team US has a vice captain, um, but I don't. I think it's okay. I think for Jason, he has been there so many times. He knows
Yeah.
what to do. The order of play didn't really change. It's pretty much the basics, and you have not many chances to really make a big change. It's
You mean
like
like as far as where you want to put guys at?
yeah, it's pretty much if you start the one day in this order, it's like already kind of set in stone for second and third day almost. It's
Right.
like you can only do like small changes. So
Right.
it's not a big of a deal, but of course you gotta be always there for the guys. If someone is playing and the other one just lost, you gotta kind of take care of both.
Yeah.
And that's maybe the tough part, but that's probably the part then where also David steps in.
Yeah, well, I think that's also just a credit to Jay because listen, if he shits the bed, then it could be a whole different Moscone Cup, not just from a scoreline standpoint, but then he's also got to be the guy to kind of keep everyone together. But if his game's falling apart, who's going to help bring him together?
Yeah, no, of course,
Um,
of course. No, look, heads up to him. He did an amazing job. He played solid. He played quick. He missed one shot. That's totally fine. I think also with him. And to be honest, I think it made Team Europe even stronger when they saw that Scott is kind of vice captain for Team USA.
why do you say that, Alvin?
Because it's like they needed this extra help or whatever. Because in my opinion, if it says playing captain, it's playing captain. No other
Yeah,
person included, whatever. So I think that's like his mentality. It's like this
yeah,
this McGregor mentality
yeah.
uh, that turns him it turns him up even more. It's like he wants to beat them even more now.
Talking about Jay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and obviously he transfers it to his teammates and everything.
I want to talk about the rookie for a little bit because Mickey had a few struggles yesterday. He's had a few struggles in this cup, whereas in Manila, I thought he looked, about as steady as you can ask for, given that it was his first time out. What was your rookie year like, and what's going through Mickey's head, through his stomach, through his sweat on his palms? What's going on with Mickey?
I had a terrible first day on my rookie year. I was crying in the room afterwards because I made I think three balls or something. I lost 5-0 in the team match with Darren against Shane and Sky, and in doubles match and team match I think I made two balls or whatever. So I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah,
And then I ended up making the winning nine in the end. So after that, I played
redemption.
quite good. I feel for Mickey, but I think it's also his style of playing. He rarely uses extension. He's a very quick player. He doesn't really look at the position play. It's like more. It's he plays like we do in practice. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. That's a
but
good assessment.
that doesn't really work out in Mosconi Cup. Because so many things come together. And I already thought that he might underestimate the situation. I honestly haven't seen everything of Reyes Cup, but I think pretty much everyone struggled there, as far as I heard. But I think he has to take his time a little bit more, a little bit, try to calm down, find something that relaxes him. But also, I think in doubles, it was too much talking. I think
Jay seemed like he was trying to do a
Yeah,
little too much
Jason.
with
Yeah,
Mickey at times.
yeah. Jason felt like he has to carry him, and I recognized it as soon as Mickey asked for the easiest positions.
Yeah,
Because if look, people asked me, I don't know how many times, me and Mario, what makes you so good in doubles? Because we reached three times World Cup of Pool.
yeah,
I said we don't talk with each other. We are both right-handed. We both pro players. It's not like I would play a two rail position and he would play a six rail position.
yeah.
You know, we both play the same game. If you have a question, of course, then ask. But if we talk about one real position, it's just not necessary. It just takes it out of some time. And I think some shots, I think Mickey would have probably in an individual tournament he would have played different. But he
But
was like always asking Jason.
yeah, I was gonna say, is it more of Jay maybe being too, being too much on top of Mickey, or Mickey deferring too much to Jason being the leader?
I think it was, well, I cannot really say exactly, but I think it was Mickey who started to ask, and I think that showed Jason that he's like insecure about things and maybe not, obviously not feeling well. He didn't play well so far. Um, so yeah, he was struggling a lot, and I think it got even worse and worse after every game, especially in the last rack with the combo, and then he had to play the three ball where he was a little bit jacked up, and then obviously the last he wanted to play safety, but he cut it like way too thin.
Sold out.
Yeah, no, he was done, and
Yeah. Well, like you
so
see guys where they maybe they start off slow, but then they show their pedigree and why they got there. I, mean, I remember Fran in 22. I think his first shot was a scratch, and then he had a pretty solid Mosconi Cup after that, and you guys went on to win. You mentioned your struggles in your first year, but people don't remember that about you, Albin. All they remember is like the clutch, big, cold blooded shots that you've come up with over the course of your career, because that's how you get remembered.
yeah,
But it's
no,
I
they
guess
would.
I'm sure it's hard for Mickey going through all this right now.
No, of course. Look, he deserved to be there. He played amazing. He basically came out of nowhere, and uh,
Yeah.
and he played like, I don't know, like careless. Like something we didn't really see before. Like I said, I think in a whole match he maybe used 5 times the extension.
Yeah.
That's what I use per rec sometimes. So
I didn't want to say it.
yeah, yeah. Look, I can play with it. I don't have a problem with the beep or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm waiting for it, but obviously he has to. Um, how would you say? He has to realize it's the Moscone Cup. It's not the European Open. It doesn't matter U.S. Open or Perry Open. Um, so he has to realize it's a different tournament. He has to approach the matches a little bit differently, maybe shots and also shot selection. He cannot. He also plays very offensive.
Yeah.
Um, but that goes for many players. But yeah, I hope he finds his rhythm. I think he will play a doubles match or maybe two doubles matches today. But yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting day. I think it's David and who's playing. David has to play singles,
Yeah.
and
David's
then
David's got to
and
play
then
singles
there's a
today.
new singles, right?
Yeah, there should be one other. It's a new fresh round after that. I feel
Which
like
will be Jason. I doubt they would put up Federer again. Um,
what on the note of Federer, why do you think he's struggled so far at this Mosconi Cup?
it's hard to say. I thought it was like only last year, because it was so much pressure. Obviously, playing for Europe before and then play for the US in London, where everyone knew you gotta have like really really big balls, to
Yeah.
play good um, in 2023. But obviously, he won everything, so now it's kind of he wants to prove it also for himself.
Yeah.
And I think maybe he puts too much pressure on himself. And he was the guy where I would say yesterday, I think it stand out that he was like forcing to get the momentum on his game and everything. I think a lot of wrong shot selections, um, jumps. I think that where he shouldn't even have played a jump. Obviously, look, he's probably the best, but I
Yeah.
think he didn't make one jump yet.
Yeah.
So you got to think about, and that's what I mean with he was like forcing, to get the
Trying to
momentum
make
on his
something
side.
happen to take it
Exactly.
back. Yeah.
Like this crazy shot that turns everything around. And it was crazy to see that they had four balls on the table to tie the Mosconi to 5-5, and they, yeah, like actually twice the chance. And
Well,
but
let me
yeah,
ask you about that eight ball because that was a big talking point yesterday at the end. I thought, with those two guys, with Sky and Federer out there, they're tying it up. For sure, it's gonna be 5-5. But you saw the eight ball. He passed it up for a safety. This part of your game I've always admired because I feel like you play the right shot more than the moment. And but it's also tough because you got a chance to win the match right there in that spot, right? Getting on that nine ball. Sky elected to play safe, but do you think he ought to have gone for it offensively, or what would you have done?
I would have played, if I would go for it, I would still play a two-way shot. I would have like drawn it with spin behind the nine, so
So in
to
case, yeah,
leave distance.
yeah,
I don't know if he like super overcut it. I don't know if he just, I don't know, like twitched or whatever on the stroke, but he like overcut it by like 1.5 diamonds or something. But it's hard to say if I think I would have played it because I don't know. I would have just played for distance if I just rolled it to the short rail. I think I don't know. I would think karma hits me and David or Catchy would make the bank, like
yeah,
for sure. It's like I don't know. He cannot even miss it.
yeah,
So I think it was just surprising the way he played it because if you look back, I would have like 100% played it, draw with spin and try two rails behind the nine. Like a two-way shot. If you make it, you gotta have a tough nine. Maybe
yeah.
it's straight, maybe it's off
But you
angled,
got to swing at least.
of course. But you got to swing and you got a chance for safety or at least a very tough shot for the opponent.
How are you weighing those moments, Albin? When because when you're ahead, it's one thing where you can maybe take a little bit of a flyer, like you said, depending on how you feel. But um, do you think about like it's a short race? Let me just play the shot that makes the most sense versus trying to be a hero or anything like that.
I think that's also how Shane's match started.
Yeah,
He had like a super super cut. He didn't. It was his first match of the day, right? Well, he played the team match, but I think Shane. How many balls did Shane make in the whole Moscone Cup so far? I feel like he made 20 balls. When is freeze? Can you hear me? Mike? So maybe I'm now the host of the show. Yeah, finally got my own YouTube channel or podcast or whatever. All right, he's gonna reboot. Don't worry, guys. Yes, I can read the chat, but only if I like put the picture small. What advice for USA to come back? Uh, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, it was a rough day yesterday. Um, Obviously, Shane has to step up and finally play his A game. Fedor, obviously. Shane, I don't know how many balls he made, like 15 or 20 balls, wrong shot selections. So there's a lot what they did wrong yesterday, but I think they could definitely turn it around. But maybe Skyler has to step up more and play like 2 or 3 matches back to back. Oh yeah, Mike Panoza. Yeah, jump in. I'm the owner now. I can let you in, no problem. The shot from Sky. Well, I guess you talk about the position from 6 to 7. Honestly, I've looked at it quite a few times. It's hard to say. Obviously, the side pocket is easier, um, but I think it's hard to say. He could have just played like, I don't know, like stun it and go like 1/3 of the table and play the 7 into the corner pocket to have easier position. But on the other hand, if he fucks up position to the 7, like the wrong angle, it's tough to get to the 8. I think it was a good shot, but I think he was a little bit too fast, too quick on this shots because he was like, all right, it's easy, it's over. But also, oh, oh, he was there. No, I think also Federer's choice. Oh, you're back.
We might have made it back, Alvin. I thought you would have dipped out. If I were you, I would have gotten the hell out of here and just and left Dodge. I appreciate
No,
you hanging out.
I was
My internet took
talking.
a dive.
I was talking to the people.
Yeah, talking to the fans, man. I'm sorry
Yeah,
for leaving you hanging out there, man.
no problem.
All right, I'm not sure where we left off at. I'll bring up the chat just in case. Man, you really are a professional, just hanging out here. Like I said, I would have just gotten the hell out of here. All right,
Uh,
let's talk more
we
Mosconi
talked
Cup.
about Shane.
Talking
Shane,
about Shane.
I said I don't know how many balls Shane made in the whole tournament so far. I think
Yeah.
like 15 or 20. And actually, in the team match, he made 5 balls after he fluked the jump bank.
Yeah, that was a big jump rank that he ended up making. I know he was kind of playing it a bit of a two way, but it's crazy because the two guys you would have thought are going to be more reliable in Shane and Federer haven't shown up at all for the American team as far as the score line. And then you got the guys with that were coming in there with question marks and Tyler and Billy that have played about as steady as you can ask for, all things considered.
No, no, absolutely. I mean, it's 2 years in a row now. We don't have to talk only about this year. I mean, obviously Federer last year, it was rough to see because we also couldn't imagine or believe that they would put him like 3 matches back to back to back, you know.
Yeah.
And I think last year, I think there was like only one match where Federer really felt comfortable, and I think it was doubles with, I believe it was with Shane or something. But everything else was like he didn't look comfy at all. And the same goes for this year. Even when you had during the racks or the breaks when they were sitting in the chair, Federer looked lost. It looked like where's my stroke? Where's my confidence? I won pretty much everything the whole year. What's happening? And then on the other in the other chair you see Jason. And he's like there. He didn't win. I don't know. He didn't win anything this year.
Yeah.
Um, but he plays like two levels better than Federer. So it's amazing what happens in the Moscone Cup with performances, and even though the two best jumpers cannot make a jump.
Yeah, yeah. You. I mean, listen. There's that table. I know is playing a little bit difficult, but those guys are heavy favorites. For some of the ones that they've taken on for sure.
Yeah.
But it's just the animal that is the Mosconi Cup, I it that's why I really marvel at what you guys are able to do. The guys like you and Josh and Jason and Darren for so many years of just being anchors on that team, because it's like, even though the environment is so brutal, you guys still play as dependable and clutch as anybody.
No, of course we try everything. We've been there many times. We know what to face, but sometimes it just like it's too much. Sometimes it just overwhelms you, but in a very very bad way. And I had this. I remember it was, I believe, 2021 London. I played terrible. I was feeling terrible, and the crowd got in my head. And that's something that just shouldn't happen to you. And that's something that Jason, for example, does so good. He just shakes it off, and he turns their, like, I don't know, their things they're screaming, everything he turns into a strength, and get
Yeah.
even stronger. And that's what I also meant with seeing Scott Frost on the sideline. I think this gives him the extra push, to like beat them even more heavy.
Let's talk about the Spanish duo. We haven't even seen the Europeans. What you would argue is their strongest combination with this team. Albin, talk to me about just that strategy that Jason's played to this point, starting off with the way he laid out day one.
um so tell me again, what was the matches?
So
Well, oh yeah, it was Mickey Eklund singles and doubles. Who
let me
played?
see if I can bring up day two. I got day two queued up. I don't have.
Mickey Tyler, Eklund Skyler. Shane played with Fedor
Yeah,
against Fran and, was it Jason? No, Eklund. Fran and Eklund.
yeah, that would have been day one, I believe.
Yeah. All right. So what was your question again?
Now, how do you feel like Jason's kind of played that strategy standpoint with putting his guys out there, starting with how we did day one and how it sets himself up for the rest of the event?
I think it was risky, honestly. Um, Obviously, I think he wanted to give Mickey the chance um, to like kind of throw him into the cage, you
Yeah,
know, and try to survive. Play singles, try to get in the comfort zone. Um, that's what some captains have done in the past. I remember Kazaki's rookie. He played doubles with Eklund. I think they were both rookies. Yeah, like
yeah, I
two
think you're right.
rookies in your
Yeah, yeah,
first double, and we were like, "What the hell?" So yeah, I mean, sometimes it works out, sometimes not. Um, Obviously, in this case, it didn't. Also, Eklund started off incredible, you know, in the team match, and but then in his singles, I don't know, he made some strange mistakes. Obviously, the table is super quick, um, but Skyler played well. I think for me, not the biggest surprise. Surprise is maybe wrong, but compared to the past 2 years, Fran is playing amazing.
yeah.
He played some amazing stuff so far, especially against Shane, but also Shane like gave him also the opportunities. But still, you gotta. He made some good outs, some very tough outs,
He held his
and
nerve when, and
yeah,
that was a big spot. You know, the lead's
absolutely.
all gone at that point.
No, no, he looks very comfortable out there. David very solid, but s- I think till now didn't really had to, I don't know, pull out some big shots or whatever, and probably it's crazy. He played good for or flawless for 2 days, and then he missed the six ball, and probably all the people remind him of is missing the six ball, and then still winning the game and the match. That
Yeah,
was
and listen, that I think it started off where David got like a that tough cut in the corner when he and that's after a few misses that he had, and to his credit, he held his nerve and they scrapped away with that win. But I mean, it was they were sliding on ice there for a few balls for sure.
yeah, no, absolutely. Um, but yeah, it was fun to watch. But overall, I would just say more wrong shot selections from the U.S. I think maybe some more safeties, especially in the beginning. You don't want to give up the first rack after you break.
Right.
That's what I didn't like Shane. He rarely played. He made 15 shots in 1.5 days, and then he starts with a super thin cut, and even has to hope for a lot of luck. Because he has to kick like two balls to get position, and then he's kind of down. I don't know. He didn't really get a chance anymore to get back into the game, and because you go out, you're at the practice arena, you practice for 30-40 minutes, you walk down the stairs, you pumped up, and then you just give away the first game for a shot that was never really 100% on. And that just is something on a race to five is very deadly.
What do the Americans got to do, Albin, to get back in this match? I think they're going to start off with a David versus Billy singles, and I think the lineup is can only be a couple of ways, just given the way the first 2 days have gone. But what do the Americans got to do to kind of scrap back in this and make it a match again?
Well, obviously Shane and Fedor, they have to like, I don't know. I don't know what they should do different. I don't know what they're doing different, but they definitely have to change their game. Like keep it simple and don't risk anything. I mean, it's 4-inch pockets or less. It's races to five. The people are screaming. They want to see you win. Of course, they have pressure on the shoulders. It should have been 5-5. Now they're down, so they have to, or they have to win the day at least. 3-2, maybe bigger. Um, but yeah, they just have to remind them of themselves what they have done the whole year. Like I told you, the fundamentals, the basics. Um, play more safeties, maybe break a little bit softer. I think you could clearly see some players like David. It was incredible to see in the doubles match. It was David and Eklund. Eklund in this match in particularly, Eklund ended up with never having a shot, but he breaks super hard, and David kind of like medium stun shot, and it was super easy. So if there is no rule or real rule with the soft break or whatever, just try it. If it works out well, why not? You don't have to smack them and show the crowd what you have. Obviously, if you have the gift like Eklund, it's something else.
It's crazy, man. I mean, it's unreal the way that he hits that ball so hard with precision, Albin. I want to just for a second. The lineup just came out.
All right.
You guys can check it out on Matchroom Pool, the day three lineup. So we're going to run through this for just a few minutes here. Let me ask you this, Albin. What do you think about having the team matchups here for the first 3 days versus the way it was in years past?
I would rather see some triples.
I like the idea of some triples, man.
We
That's a
played
fun
we
twist.
played the Kings Cup. It was Asia versus rest of the world. It was me, Shane,
I remember.
Mika and Darren against co-brothers Efren and Busti, 10 ball, and we played singles, doubles, and triples with alternate shots, and that was quite interesting. And I just think, why not, you know? And so every day a team match. Of course, you can do. They can do whatever they want, basically. But I think it's. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I think it could be different. Triples, I think, would be very enjoyable to watch.
I agree with you. I like the idea of throwing another guy in there, and it's just a different dynamic. You know, it can be fun for the crowd. It can be something you want to sweat if you're a fan. The players have to adjust a little more, which makes for a little bit more drama. I can appreciate that for sure. I remember that Kings Cup because it was real weird seeing you and Shane on the same team. It was like something about that just doesn't sit so well. Match number 12, Albin. You got what you can say is probably their best duo on doubles, Shane and Sky versus
Yeah,
Mickey
I
and
on.
Fran. What do you make about that match?
Well, I honestly thought they would come out with this doubles the first day to like come out strong, you know, because I
Yeah,
think it's their best doubles team. Yeah, Mickey Fran. It's hard to say. It honestly all depends on Mickey, you know. If he can let loose, you know, and get into the comfort zone, I don't know. Then look, everything's possible, you know.
yeah,
One scratch or whatever can turn everything. Match 13. Well, it's also the team match, you know. It's like
yeah,
both teams won one team match so far. But last or yesterday, I mean, Team USA has so many roles,
yeah.
um,
The
especially
pull
Fedor.
gods were in their favor to start off the day for
Yeah,
sure.
Fedor had like three, four roles. But anyway, look, that's part of the game. Match 13, I gotta say, I see David as favorite.
Yeah,
You could see from Billy's body language, certain shots, that he's very, very under pressure, you know.
yeah,
Like his backstroke very tight, you know. He twitched a lot. The cue went sideways, up, whatever. So, but maybe he feels more comfortable playing singles, you know, um, than doubles.
well, I
Yeah.
mean, it's got a potential to really be a lot of pressure because if somehow the Europeans win two, then they're already at eight, and that may be the last match of the day. Because do you think that if they get to nine right off the bat, win three in a row, that they call it for day three, Albin?
Um, I mean, could be. Um, well, what was last year the score?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think. Did they stop y'all at 10, or was it on nine so that way
Well,
they
they
can
actually
guarantee
already
two matches?
shortened. They already shortened the second day.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. They took off one match off of day
Yeah.
two.
So and then then we only played like three matches or something. And if it would have gone like 9-9 or whatever, we would have played like 10 or 11 matches on the last day if
That
it
would have
would
been
go
wild,
all the
man.
way. So we were
Yeah,
like, we're gonna play till like 4 in the morning.
yeah, yeah,
So well, yeah, I can kind of see it. I mean, I see Team US big favorite in the second match, obviously. First match, it's like 50-50. Third would go to Europe for me. Yesterday, I picked the score right. I said whoever wins between Federer and Jason wins the day 3-2. It was close in the end with the last match, but
yeah.
I think it could be again Skyler, sorry, Billy and David, whoever wins this match might win the day with 3-2. And I think if they win, if Europe wins again 3-2, I think it's basically over, in my opinion.
Then the
Because
Americans
also,
would be down by 3 points at that point, then, right, to end the day.
no, but I think also, look, I've been there many times, and Shane doesn't really like it to be down, after the first day or 2 days or whatever. But honestly, after day one, I was like, I've never seen him smiling so much after day one.
Yeah.
And so I think it was. Is it too dark here now?
No, no, no. You're good. I mean,
No,
it's
that's
you can
good.
tell the sun setting a little bit, but you're all right.
Wait a second.
It's got the potential to set itself up for some fireworks though, because those last two matchups are pretty box office in Federer and Tyler versus Jason and Kachi, and then of course Sky versus Jason to end the day.
Hmm. Yeah, it's honestly hard to say. I would see right now. I would see 3-2 for Europe.
Where do
Um,
you think they lose those two matches, Albin, the Europeans?
uh, I think the team match, and I think the US wins the first two.
Wow, that's pretty strong. But then now it's 6-6. Then going into Billy and David.
Yeah, but I think David plays better under pressure. That's what he also showed 2 years ago against Skyler,
Yeah,
because there was basically almost the match for the win. I would say, because it broke their necks.
they would have been
David
up.
again.
I think Sky had a chance to make it 8-8. Is that the match you're talking about in Vegas?
I think they weren't they up or 7-7, or I don't know, but he missed a very easy shot with the bridge.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And until that moment, he played like, I don't know, like every shot was make a wish. He could wish three rails, kick, bang, happen. You know, it was crazy. It was something else 2 years ago, the way Skylar played. Um, so yeah, I could see USA winning the first two. Then I see David as favorite, even if it's 6-6. I still see David as favorite. Um, I kind of see Europe winning the last three.
That's pretty strong. That Jason and Kachi doubles pairing, I feel like, is a bit underrated, especially if Kachi can play his game that he had to start off the day yesterday. And I don't think Jason will be as on top of Kachi like he was with Mickey. He'll kind of just let him do his own thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, they played together already in the past, so no, I think it's a strong doubles, and so yeah, I would see a 3-2 for Europe. But
If it's
USA,
3-2 the
yeah.
other way, Albin, how much pressure is going to be on the Europeans then at that point? Even though that they would still have a one game lead if the Americans find a way to win the session.
Well, then you gotta figure out what to do with the order of play on the last day. There's no team match, right? No, it's only singles.
I don't think so. No. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you gotta get in your opponent's mind. Gotta read his mind, the way where he puts his good players, some in the front, some in the back. Maybe those who didn't perform as good yet, you put like in the middle, like maybe second, third.
Yeah.
So because you don't want to have the weakest player in the back playing to tie the cup, or even win the cup.
What would you be telling a guy like Mickey, just given his struggles that he's had up until this point?
I think he got nothing to fear anymore. I think from here can only go up. Can only do better. Try take his time. I mean, it's not a problem to hear the clock beeping. It's not
Yeah.
a sign of I don't know, being slow or whatever. If you need your time, take your time. If you really need it, and he looks like he needs it.
Yeah.
You got to find a way to get into his comfort zone. Maybe he needs a shot before the match, or two
calm the
shots.
nerves. Calm the nerves down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. Uh, I've seen everything, in 20 years, and but yeah, just one thing: he shouldn't have a joint with Willie before the match.
I see you saw the press conference. Yeah, stay away from
Yeah,
the joint with
Oh, that was fun.
Willie. No doubt about it. That was pretty good. Listen. I've seen some cringy press conferences before over the years. This one in particular, though, was pretty solid.
First, I was thinking, which Willie is he talking about? And then obviously Willie Nelson.
Yeah, that's why I
Yeah.
figured it was. Well, because that's the song. Yeah, yeah.
And then I remembered Snoop Dogg once in a interview said the only guy who outsmoked
It
him
was Willie.
was Willie Nelson.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a great moment in typical in true Billy
Yeah,
fashion.
yeah,
Um,
unfiltered truth, just doesn't care if it's live on camera or whatever. But that's just how it's supposed to be, and that's why we like those people, even more.
yeah, no doubt about it. Albin, give me your predictions, then I'll get you out of here on that. Who do you think wins the Mosconi Cup, and what do you think the score is going to be?
Honestly, before the Moscone, I said Americans are more favorite to me. Um, but now, oh, it's rough. I think it's gonna be 11-8, 11-9 for Europe.
So we still got a game. Hey, listen, 11-9 means it's going to be 9-10. So that means
Yeah,
anything can happen then at that point. So I hope
no, of
the drama
course.
comes through. That's for sure.
It's all about the order of play for the last day, to pick the right players in the right spots and prepare them as good as you can.
Albin, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your insight. You're an
You're
absolute
welcome.
legend and a
Thank you,
monster
sir.
on every stage, man. If you're free tomorrow, I'd love to have you on and talk about the day that was. You're more
Yeah,
than
we can
welcome.
talk about it. I message you later. I see
Okay,
how my
buddy.
schedule is. Obviously, I have to practice also, but I keep in touch with you. Tell you.
All right. I appreciate it. Albin
Thank you very